So for those that aren't familiar, with you, can you tell us a bit about yourself and, how you your start in acting or even like background work and things like that?
Um, that's a good question. Well, it was a long time ago. It was after I had my music career, if you will, ended. I was in a metal band at one time, and then all that stuff just kind of ended. And that was when I was in Niagara Falls, Ontario. And so then I moved back home, and I decided, how should I get into acting? Because I've always wanted to do that, but I never really had the balls to do it. uh, I just said, fuck it, I'm gonna go for it. So I literally just Googled it,
Yeah.
the best way. And the answers that I came up with were, uh, find a casting call, just get experience, like treat it as if you're going to look for any other job, right? Experience beats out most anything else. So I found a casting call in the newspaper. This was in Nova Scotia at the time. They were filming that TV mini series, Moby Dick. It's
Yeah.
on my imdb.com. .com. Anyways, I'm having a day today, so um, yeah, I answered the casting call. It was for background work, but I got to meet Ethan Hawke
Yeah.
on that set. It stars Ethan Hawke, William Hurt, one of the Hobbits, Billy Boyd. He actually is really almost that short. He is really short. Like I couldn't believe he was shorter than me. I'm not that tall. So once I got on that set, yeah, that was when I knew, I felt it. You know what I mean? I was like, so I spent a good 2 or 3 weeks on that set, and it was about a 4 hour drive from my home. And
Wow.
I think yeah, I slept in my car the first couple nights. And then after I got a couple checks, I finally got a hotel room, and it was pretty crazy. But once I got on that set, I just knew I wanted to do it without a doubt. So that was my first real acting experience, well, background work, but it's still my first set experience, being
Yeah.
around real actors and cameras and all that stuff. So yeah, that was pretty amazing. Ethan Hawke actually said hi to me. He said, how's it going?
Mhm.
And that was the extent of that.
Well, oddly enough, I'm from Texas, and he's a, I guess, kind of Texas royalty. And
He's from
anytime I
Texas.
yeah, yeah. Well, or he lives in Austin. I mean, that's
I did not
whenever
know that.
yeah, I mean, like that's kind of why Linklater, like he uses like him and Matthew McConaughey and like all of his productions. So I always like to ask, do you cast them just because they're local, or do you cast them because they're your friends? And
Mhm.
he's one of the ones we're proud of. So we got we gotta give him
Yeah,
props when we can.
absolutely. He's ours. We own him.
Yeah, exactly. So what after Moby Dick, what kind of, I guess, how did we get from Moby Dick to Skinamarink? What kind of projects were in between and things like
Yeah,
that?
the timeline's kind of a mess because I've been all over Canada.
Yeah.
I've moved all over Canada, man. I've jumped around a lot, and I've finally settled here in Alberta on the west. So I started on the east side of Canada and kind of settling down, well, sort of settling on the west side of Canada. So once I got bit by the acting bug, as they say, I decided to I wanted to go to film school, and uh, yeah, I researched it, and then I decided to go to Vancouver Film School. But obviously, I was broke at the time and needed a way to get there. So that's why I decided to move to Alberta, where our the oil field is. And so I used the oil field as a uh, means for my money, to put myself through Vancouver Film School. And I went to Vancouver Film School for a summer, and I took acting for film and television. Um, I think it was called Acting Essentials. And then after that, I met my now ex, and we were in love at the time, and we were both actors. And then once we knew we were going to have a kid, we decided to move back to Alberta because that's where she was originally from. And yeah, that's how I ended up in Alberta. And then when my son, sorry, I have two boys now.
Okay.
Rylan and Lucas. Lucas plays Kevin in Skinamarink.
Yeah.
Um, so how did this happen? I got into videography.
Yeah.
I started shooting, like filming weddings, and I started filming music videos for local bands. And so for one of the local bands, we called Ashley's Rejekts, which is actually on IMDb as well. I filmed a video for their song Shameless. And on that set, I'm one of the girls' moms. Her name is Christy, and Christy Marchuk. Yeah, she was in going to school for film at the time as well, for directing and voiceover and all that stuff. So fast forward a little bit, she got a hold of me one day and wanted to know if my boys would like to be in a commercial she was filming. It was her first little commercial, environmental commercial, Save the Turtles. And so my two boys, Rylan and Lucas, played the kids in that commercial, and Jamie Hill, who
Yep.
in Skinamarink, she played the mom in that. I believe Jamie. Yeah, you interviewed Jamie, didn't you?
Yeah, yeah.
That's right.
It's
Right.
yeah. We talk a lot now. She's very very awesome, and through her, obviously, I met you, and yeah, I love that connection. So I'm
Yeah,
very grateful
man.
for that.
Awesome. Yeah, that's how it goes, right? And that's
Yeah.
how it happened for us too. Just one, on that set, met, through Christy, got to that set, met Jamie, became friends with Jamie. Jamie knew Kyle.
Yep.
Kyle spoke to Jamie, said, "Hey, I want to shoot my first feature film. I need a single dad, someone to play a single dad of two kids." And Jamie's like, "Well, I know this guy named Ross Paul. He's a single dad of two kids. He's an actor, probably good for the role." And yeah, I did a little phone interview, and I think a little, like a quick, sorry, video audition.
Gotcha.
And yeah, he said you're perfect, and he loved Lucas as well. Well, he already knew he wanted Lucas. Once he saw Lucas in that commercial, he knew Lucas was perfect.
That's so crazy that like it's like almost like the perfect storm, and in all reality how it came together like that. So first, I guess, jumping to Skinamarink, what is it like, working with your kids on these productions? I know you mentioned the turtle video, but this has to be a little bit different.
Oh,
Yeah.
completely different, different, a whole new ball game. Yeah, uh, yeah, because we didn't. Yeah, because with Lucas being so young, and then we had the decision: do we tell him it's a horror movie, and what do we tell him? Because I read
Yeah.
the script, and in the script there's some pretty disturbing parts, and then I was thinking, how am I gonna deliver this to my son? So we just kind of told him it's going to be a scary movie and it's just going to be fun, but we didn't give him any of the details.
Yeah, I mean, with Skinamarink, it's a almost like an experimental film, and I mean, it's definitely horror if you take it there. So I have a hard time even explaining it to so a child that's not in the film. So that's a good point though. How do you describe this film to like friends and family? Because I'm sure that a lot of people want to see you and see your work.
Well, okay, so two things, right? There's what I saw, the production, what I saw being done on set, and then what I saw on the screen was, because I'll be honest, at the time before I saw it, I just thought it's gonna be your basic movie. You have your establishing shot of the house or wherever you're at, and then they jump into the characters and blah blah blah, that usual blueprint. But I mean, I knew Kyle wanted to do something different that hasn't been done, but I wasn't sure exactly what it was gonna, the finished product was going to look like. So, Lucas and I went into it with, oh, this is just gonna be fun. This is cool. And it was it was our first time on set together, and Lucas's first, no, well, sorry, second. And I didn't want to be too present for some of his scenes, because I don't want to be, distract him or whatever. But so going into it, I just explained to him, oh, it's a fun movie. It's going to be a horror film. That's all I could really tell anybody.
Yeah.
Now, after seeing it, after, Kyle sent me the link. This is before Skinamarink blew up. He sent me the link, and I watched it by myself in my home. And I didn't react to it I didn't feel attached to it the first time I watched it, because I was going into it with uh, like an actor's perspective. Like I was trying to figure out how it was all put together. You know what I mean? Like I was thinking about the scenes and how it was
Yeah.
filmed, and I was just kind of like, okay, this is that, and that's that, and what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah.
Like, what is this? But I was trying to be open minded, and so there's just a lot going on the first time, and then, but I figured it out, and then the second time I saw it was at the premiere, the opening night, and that's when I was able, once I got that all aside and I got it all figured out, now I could enjoy it as a viewer, and I immersed myself in it, and that was, I almost got up and left halfway through it. But to answer your question, I would explain it as, this is the first time I've ever heard of the term analog horror. First time I'm hearing that term, and I would describe it as like kind of what Kyle said, nightmare sequences. It's a slow burn. I've told a lot of people, you know what, I'll be honest, I don't know. You may like it, you may not. It depends. It demands a lot of patience in the beginning. It's not, I best describe it as something as you're not going to, it's not something you're going to see. It's something you're going to experience.
Yeah.
Because I found that after watching a lot of the reviews and hearing a lot of the feedback, the people that didn't like it at all or didn't get it were the people that were going to see something. They wanted to see this crazy slasher and blood. They wanted to see a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? They wanted to be mesmerized. But the people who understood it was more like an experience, like a theme park ride, or you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Yeah.
you had to, yeah, just allow it to happen. And they enjoyed it. They got it. They connected to it. So that's the difference, I guess.
Yeah.
That,
That's what I got. I like, honestly, I saw it in theaters as soon as I had the option became available to me. And I honestly would not want to experience it any other way than that, because I can't imagine someone sitting on their phone and watching it, or even like on a laptop. Like maybe if you have like a large TV and like all the lights were off, but something about being in a theater, not knowing what I was gonna
yeah,
get into, like it made it weirder for me. And I think that that's why this movie spoke to me so well.
yeah. And the funny thing, it's funny you say that, because when this movie first took off, it went viral on TikTok, and a
Yeah.
lot of the TikTokers I was seeing were watching it on laptops and headphones in the dark, and they were recommending that people do that. So I was like, oh, this is gonna, and this was just before I had seen it in the theater myself, and I was thinking, oh, okay, I get it. Yeah, this is gonna have to be one of those movies. I was actually scared. I wasn't sure how it was gonna be received in the theater. I was like, I don't know, because like this is a really different film. I feel like it hasn't been done before, and you know how people are with new things. You know what I mean? Like we're
Yeah.
used to getting what we're get used to. But so I was like, it could go. I felt like it could go either way. But when I had my theater experience, I got it too. I felt like you, like I could feel. I think it was all the energy,
Hmm.
everybody's energy I was feeling, plus my own, and I don't know. I was just tight through the whole thing, man, and it was very. I think I got a little emotional at one point, and I was trying not to. How can I explain this? I think you get it though. I knew it wasn't my real son,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I still felt it.
Yeah.
Like it was really fucking with me.
Yeah.
Like,
I
it was
think
really messing with me.
I think that has a lot to do, and that complements you guys as well, the actors, the crew, and then you guys allowing Kyle to kind of cook in a way,
Mhm.
because I was kind of curious as to like maybe your experience with him, like what was his direction like, how did he handle the kids, because I think that that would be that myself, being a father as well, that would probably be the most overwhelming part for me, is like your experience seeing it in theaters, but then also watching my kid in that situation, like BTS type stuff.
Right. Yeah, that was my thoughts going into it. But at the same time, I knew, like, after talking to Kyle a fair bit, I felt like, my instincts were just telling me I could trust him, right? So I felt like I could trust him, and he seemed like a really good guy, and he is. He's an awesome guy. Um, he was really great to work with, pretty laid back, he knew exactly what he wanted, he's creative like me, and um, so yeah, obviously safety. For an example of safety, there's the scene where it says put the knife in your eye, and so when we were shooting the, you have to keep in mind at the time I had no idea how this was going to come together. So I
Yeah.
saw him in the kitchen. Jamie's behind the camera. Lucas is sitting on the floor in the kitchen under the knife drawer, and he's got an X-Acto blade. But Kyle was like, "Don't worry, there's no blade in it." I removed the blade. It's just the handle and whatnot. So I was, yeah, I was really curious how that was going to come out and what was going to happen. So where was I going with that?
Just the overall, like, I guess kind of vibe on set of like not only you having to work, but then also playing double duty, being a parent, those types of things.
Yeah, I was trying to obviously be present, and Kyle was, him and I were talking the whole time, and once he talked me through it, I wasn't really too concerned. So it was a bit of a juggling act. I was trying to be dad, but at the same time trying to not get in the way, trying to allow him to do his work too. So I think for some of this, I didn't even see some of his scenes, like well, for that one, when they did that upstairs in his hallway, I wasn't there for that. So I was trying to kind of be, touch and go. I was
Yeah.
trying to be there, but not be there too much. So it was a bit of a juggling act.
And was there any point, maybe like, obviously you just kind of mentioned you weren't on set for that, or you weren't there for that shot, but was there ever a point where you thought, because this is before you knew that you were going to do a theatrical run, this is obviously before seeing the final project, was there ever a point when you're like, this is something special, like there is something in the air, I can feel it?
You mean before I saw it, or just after I saw it the first
Well,
time?
either or. I mean, because I would be willing to bet that maybe outside of Kyle, that you guys could probably just sit there and watch him work and be like, this is gonna be something. This is not normal.
I had a feeling on set the way he was doing things. Like I just a part of me was like, how, like, what is he doing? And then the other part of me was like, okay, yeah, pretty much what you said. Like I had a feeling that this was going to be very different, but I wasn't sure exactly where he was going with it, to be honest. Like I from my point of view, looking at the script, I thought it was, I had my own vision how I thought it was going to look and all that. That's why I was, yeah.
Yeah.
So I was a little curious about the whole knife in the eye thing and all that, and then arriving on set and then not, seeing him not actually do a lot of that stuff. I didn't ask too much either. You know what I mean?
Muddle the
I didn't want
waters.
to nitpick and well, not. I just didn't want to slow down production. I didn't want
Yeah.
to get in his way. So it wasn't until afterwards that we talked a little bit about it, and then he basically just said, "Don't worry," so, sort of thing. Just wait and see.
I do want to take a step back and kind of ask, you mentioned like getting the script and like, about filmmaking, establishing shots and those sorts of things. Obviously this isn't your typical sort of horror film. So when you arrive on set, it might be a little bit jarring, so I was kind of curious as to like, what do you like horror films? Like what if so, like what horror films did you watch growing up, and like, you
Oh
know
yeah, yeah. Uh yeah. So as far as the set experience again, I arrived on set thinking like, what, shouldn't there be a little more going
yeah,
on here? But again, I knew I just trusted him. You know what I mean? I knew he knew what he was doing. And then as things unfolded on set, I'm like, okay, okay, this is different. And then I had a lot of questions, but I
Yeah.
didn't want to bother him with questions because I didn't want to interrupt his creative process, right? And because I understand how it goes, I understand creatives. So, but yeah, I gotta be honest. I kept thinking a lot of times, what the hell is going on here? Like, how is he gonna do this? Where's this scene? Like, I was really trying to piece it together at the time, but after it was all done, I thought, yeah, this is gonna be different for sure. But I was very, very curious. And then when I finally saw it the first time, that's when I knew. I was like, yeah, this is gonna be something different. This is gonna be really cool. I didn't think it was. It's not that I didn't think. I wasn't sure. Obviously, we didn't know it was going to blow up that big.
Yeah.
Like, I knew it's going to be something different, and I knew it was either going to be really awesome or it's going to be like really bad, as in nobody was going to like it. It was going to go either way. And yeah, so it was pretty crazy when that happened, but we can get into that after. As far as horror movies, I grew up with Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street. Those were my favorites. Halloween. I have to say Freddy was my favorite. I don't know why. I think I was drawn to him. My first horror movie, though, I'm still debating if it was this movie called The Beast Within, and I still need to acquire that movie. It was around the same time Friday the 13th came out, and I didn't. I kind of. I was. I was just a little, little kid at the time, and my sisters were watching it, so I kind of snuck up behind them, and I wasn't supposed to be watching it, but I was kind of creeping on them a bit and watching it that way. And I just remember it scaring the shit out of me, and not, I was scared for a long time. But I've been in and out of the horror genre. Like, I still like horror movies. I'm not like a hardcore fan. Like, I don't have lots of horror paraphernalia everywhere, but I have been getting more into it lately, especially since this blew up, and I've been finding more movies that I like. But yeah, I'm trying to think of some other ones.
Well, though, I mean, you named like the big three, like Freddy, Jason, Michael, and those being a fan of those films, jumping into Skinamarink, it's obviously going to be a bit daunting, arriving on set, there's no baddie with, a machete. So I could
Yeah, and
imagine.
Chucky too. Sorry, Child's Play was another one that I
Yeah.
loved as well. Child's Play, and yeah, so yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that because that's exactly I got that in the back of my mind and looking at the script and then what I'm seeing, and I was like, this is not at all what that is.
So you mentioned like you guys going to the premiere and things like that. Was it at that point that you knew that this was going to be getting a theatrical run, or was it just, and how was that news like broke to you?
Oh man, it, how was the way how was it broke to me? It was, I think it just happened so damn fast.
Yeah.
It came to me like through, or sorry, at the time we were in a chat group together. Actually, we had a cast and crew chat group, so it was through Edmund Rotea, the executive producer. Uh, he was the one that was just like, oh, this and that, and then I'm trying to think, my phone was blowing up a lot at this
Of
time.
course.
Like my stuff from Instagram, Facebook, even a little bit of TikTok. People were sending me stuff. So I'm not sure that's there's no one specific place. It was coming from everywhere at the time, so I can't even pinpoint exactly where. So it was through a little bit through Kyle. Mostly Kyle was dealing with a lot at that time. So Kyle, I think Edmund, he took over the chat group. So it's just Edmund and us, and then Kyle was kind of on his own because, wow, he was dealing with his own level of, we'll say, stardom and whatnot. And yeah, it was just crazy, man. I was just getting tagged in things. I couldn't even keep up with it at first. It was really overwhelming. Like, it was awesome. I was so like, ecstatic and just I was almost in tears. I was so happy, and but it became overwhelming at one point, and I remember throwing my phone out, almost hitting the wall, and just like I need to like run out. I ran outside and just needed to go for a walk because it was too much.
Yeah.
I was just on my phone. I was just like, oh, this and this article, and then Rolling Stone and New York Times and LA Times, and then uh, what else? What other magazines? Man, I don't know. I have some posted on my Instagram anyway. I took some screenshots and whatnot. It was a pretty crazy ride, man.
Yeah, I think my first interaction was through TikTok. It was people kind of like talking about this new film, and I wrote it down in my notes like I have to see this film. And then slowly but surely it just kind of kept coming and coming and coming and
Right,
coming.
right. Thank you. You just reminded me. It was an old friend of mine from like grade six, grade seven. Him and I reconnected. Just it's funny because he was always a horror, like really big in the horror. Even like he had the Freddy mask and the whole outfit and the Jason mask. Like he had all that stuff when we were kids. And so we lost touch. And it's just now it's just cool to connect the dots. How he came back into my life, and then he was the one that sent me the messages like, Ross, man, Skinamarink is blowing up in the horror community, and he was the one that actually sent me the TikToks that he
Wow.
saw. So that, yeah, that reminded me when you said TikToks. So that's how that actually first happened, and I was like, oh, okay. And then he kept sending me stuff, and then Edmund and all of us, we created the group. Yeah, it was just one big snowball.
Yeah.
You know.
Is there anything else that you want to mention about the film, or like your experience, that maybe people aren't aware of, or just something maybe you want to highlight?
Um, I'm not sure at this point because a lot of people seen it, or a lot of people won't see it, or a lot of people already have their opinions. So what I did was like, I'm okay if you don't like the film. I'm not taking it personal. I get it.
Yeah.
You either get the film or you don't. It's cool. But I would invite, you know, the viewers that they have an open mind and they go into it knowing that it's not something you're gonna go see. But just try to sit back and have an experience, because if you're open to it, it can take you for a ride. It will trigger something, as a kid, maybe some nightmares you had or something like that. So if you can go into it with that mindset, it'll do it for you.
Yeah, and exactly. I think that's why it meant so much to me. And I guess to wrap up here, uh, where do you go from here? What's lined up next? And then also too, where can people like, you mentioned you were in a metal band, previously. Is your music still out there? Can people still check that out? I know that there are new fans that want to discover these things, so point them in the right direction, man.
Oh, as far as our old music, I don't know. I don't know what that is anymore. I have some CDs laying around somewhere, but as far as where it's at, no idea. I was drunk for most of that experience anyway. So I was just wasted for 90% of the time of that, so I don't even remember.
That's the way to do it, though.
Yeah, those are the best times of my life for sure. But as far as what's next, I'm not sure. I have I met this guy. He goes under the name Bootleg 317. He has a big YouTube following. I think he has around 3,000 subscribers. He's been doing like horror riffs, like he's been riffing on horror movies and stuff like that, or almost like parodies, or not really parody. I guess riffing, just kind of gags and stuff. And so he connected with me, and him and I are doing a collaboration right now. We're working on. Um, I need to be careful what I say. So I guess that's all I can really say. It's called Ali and Jay. Anybody that's heard of it, go look it up. I'll send you the links to that because that is something that's going to be. I think we're aiming for June. We're gonna have a little trailer here within the next few weeks, hopefully.
Okay.
Um, I'm going to be reshooting some scenes I did because we just had some new ideas, and so we kind of like, okay, we'll just scrap that, and so we're starting over. So that's pretty cool. And then I met a guy named Troy Basorin. He actually met Kyle and Edmund when they flew to LA. So he's based out of LA, and he's a filmmaker, just trying to get his start as well. He's working on a couple short films right now, and he wrote one called Yuletide, and so he wants me to star in that. So that's something, I guess, in the future. I don't know when we're going to be filming that. It was going to be filmed this summer, but it got pushed back till fall, maybe winter. So yeah, things are always changing.
Yeah.
And we did sign with Midnight Entertainment. They do appearances by at horror cons,
Yep.
horror conventions, whatnot. So Lucas and I did sign with them. So if they happen to have something for us, they're going to let us know. They may fly us down. I don't know, maybe down in Texas or somewhere. But we'll see. I'm not sure at this point. It's kind of all up in the air. It's crazy right now.
Excellent,
Um,
man. Well, I'll put in a good word for you for the Houston Horror Film Festival, and maybe I can host y'all's panel.
that'd be awesome. I'd love that. Yeah, I'm itching. Honestly, I'm really itching to get back into like more acting. I want more work for sure. Um, I I definitely have a passion for it, and I take my work very seriously. So I'm hoping to get bigger roles, and I think they'll come. I think it's just a matter of time. I just have to be a little patient because Skinamarink is still making its rounds. It's blowing up in Europe right now. It kind of took off in Poland, and now it's I think Jamie's been sharing some um, media and some things that have been happening over there. Sorry, I couldn't find the right word.
Well, it seems like it's coming in waves because there was the initial press on TikTok, then there was the initial theatrical run, then there was, as soon as it went to streaming, and then now it's like you're mentioning, the overseas audience is starting to kind of take note. And I don't think it'll stop, man. I think audiences will continue to discover this film, and slowly but surely, it's going to become one of those films that we recommend. Hey, have you seen this? And it's going to be one of those like under the radar, like
The
like
next Blair Witch.
yeah,
Sort of
Blair Witch. And I told Jamie this too. I remember the first time I saw Blair Witch. I remember the first time I saw Paranormal Activity, and
yeah.
I will forever remember the first time I saw Skinamarink. So that's a feather in the hat if I've ever heard one, man.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. Thank you. I'm glad you loved it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's crazy how you're right. How it's coming in waves. It's like there's a big wave, and I get a bunch of social media posts about it, and then it kind of goes away for a bit, and then another wave, and now it's like stuff coming from France and Poland, and I even met a filmmaker from Australia that heard about it, and she said she may want to work with me in the near future. So I have had a lot of people reach out to me. So, but nothing concrete yet, but just a lot of people reaching out to me. So we'll see, and I'll keep you posted.
Yeah, sounds good, man. Here at CineDump, we let the doers know how they're doing. And Lucas, or not Lucas, Ross, you were doing just fine. I wanted you to make sure to tell Lucas hello. I appreciated his performance quite a bit as well. You guys are doing great, and I'm gonna look forward to everything you guys do in the future. So please keep me up to date. That's
Yeah,
all
thank you, man.
that's all I have for you. I appreciate your time very, very much, and I will do my best to get you guys down here in Houston.
That would be a dream come true, man. My pleasure, by the way. Thank you for having me. I would have had Lucas here, but he's in school.
Yeah.
It's funny when we flew to Ontario to do a meet and greet with fans. Uh, he was telling everybody that that I was going to take him out of school. I'm like, no, 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 man, you're going back to school.
That
You're not
sounds
that big of a movie star, and even if you were, you still need to go to school.
yeah. My kid, I don't know how the hell he does it, but he has his own YouTube channel, and he has more subscribers than me. And he's telling people, he's like giving his autographs every time we go to the park, and I'm like, What are you doing?
Really, you send me his YouTube. I'll subscribe.
Okay, I will. I will send it your way shortly. And yeah, I guess to cap this off, man, if there's anything I can do for you, I feel like not only did I make a good relationship in the entertainment business, but I definitely made a friend. So if there's anything I can do for you guys, you let me know, okay?
Yeah, likewise, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.